You don't have to
Yeah.
talk to anybody. And it's not, again, I don't hate people, just FYI. I don't like to
A
wait
little
in
bit.
lines, where maybe a little bit. And some people like are just being stupid in line. I'm like, why is this a thing? Why is this happening?
Why is this taking so
Um,
long?
and it's because they're asking for something stupid. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Behind the Booth. I'm Jade, and with me, as always, is my co host and producer, Heather.
And on this channel, we talk about wild stories from Comic Con vendors. Because as you can see, I know I mentioned it last episode, but you see all the stuff behind Jade. That is the stuff that she sells at her booth, the Tokyo Dog Designs. And we have, in the show notes, we actually have the list of where we're going to be at all the next conventions. So please come and see us. We would love to talk to you. Our next ones are going to be in June. You have a lot going on in June. So,
I
yeah,
do,
check out our
yes.
list. But yeah, if we're in your city, please come say hi to us. We would love to meet you. It's usually mostly Jade because I have a family and a business and I gotta stay home.
Responsibilities.
Responsibilities, yeah, all that stuff. But we would love to talk to you. But today we're going to actually talk about airport life because Jade has been spending a lot of time in airports right now, and she has some like tips for how to keep your sanity and not throat punch people as we talked about in
As
the
we
last
discussed in a
episode.
later episode, yeah, throat punching. If you want to hear about the throat punching, you can listen to our previous episode about what it's like to travel.
Hmm.
So, when it comes to airport life, there's some luxuries that can definitely be there for you. Uh, the main thing I always try to do is have activities for myself. And when I say that, I mean a lot of the things that are tedious that I put off. So, like, oh, I need to do data entry, or I need to apply for my sales tax license, or whatever that is. I actually put that aside and put that into my time frame that I have at the airport because there's very few things that you can actually get done there. I can't assemble anything. I can't, build anything. It's hard sometimes to do things even on Canva on your phone, any of our social media stuff that also is time consuming. So what I do my best to get accomplished at the airport is like, okay, I need to email these people. And I have a list in my handy dandy planner that says, okay, I need to email Heather. I need to add podcast notes to Google Drive. I have a list of things that I get done. But my main priorities once I get to the airport is making sure that my plane is at the correct gate and hasn't moved, and either getting food or stashing food. Um, Flights do get delayed, and sometimes they get
Hmm.
delayed in the air or on the tarmac. So, if you are somebody that cannot go without food, like grabbing a sandwich or whatever it needs to be. So Heather knows this. I like to get what is it called? The green drink or something from Jamba Juice because I'm always so fucking dehydrated when I'm at the
Yeah,
airport.
yeah.
But it's this little like apple and kale thing. I don't know. It's not that healthy. It's actually like drinking sugar water. So don't assume that things that Jamba Juice are actually healthy. They're mostly just sugar snacks.
Got
But
vegetables.
I'll yeah, with vegetables, V8 with like a candy bar stuffed in, but it
Right.
tastes good. So
Yep.
I'm either grabbing coffee or one of those, and I'll sit down. They have a lot of places where you can sit down, and open up a laptop, or work with your phone. So I actually have a keyboard that unfolds, and it's a Bluetooth keyboard, and I just get a bunch of just data entry shit done, emails,
Yep.
replying to things. And then I also check, because I go to events all the time, that I have my confirmation number from the event. Any emails that they sent me are all pinned to the top, so that way if I have to pull it up fast, I can. And of course, my boarding pass is always open just in case I need it for some reason. The next thing that I have, and it's really critical, and I've seen some people not do this well, is to have headphones that are comfortable.
Mm.
And I mean comfortable, even if you need noise canceling, if you need the kinds that go completely over your ear. I was talking to a guy who's a collegiate wrestler. I think it was for North Dakota. I'd have been North Dakota, South Dakota. I get those two confused. Not because I'm stupid. I can't remember which one he was at.
If you hear
Um,
this, reach out and tell us where you're
yeah,
at.
reach out, tell us which school it is again. But he had cauliflower ear. And if you don't know what that is, your
Yeah.
ears basically kind of cripple in and mutate a little bit, because you're rolling on your head so much. And so he couldn't do anything that actually plugged into your ear, like how we think of like the earbuds. Like he had to wear the one that covered his whole ear so he could still hear
Like
something.
these.
Yeah, so she's got some that she's showing off right now. I think those are Beats by Dre, right?
No, I don't know. There's some Amazon brand.
Oh, some Amazon
They're
brand.
not that
Sorry.
fancy.
But I do wear Beats by Dre. So Dre, if you'd like to sponsor us, we are at Behind the Booth.
Email us at talkbehindthebooth@gmail.com. We would love for you to sponsor us.
Anytime, Dre, you got that. I got you. So anyways, having those on, you see a lot of people with those. Make sure they're fully charged. I've gotten to the airport where one was 100% charged and the other one wasn't. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like,
Because
that
if they
was
don't
really
connect
frustrating.
perfectly, like
Yeah.
I just got these, so I'm learning how that works. And they've got
Yeah,
this
they
like
have to
little
settle
box.
in.
So if they
Mhm.
don't like settle completely, like make sure it's completely in its cradle and it's charging.
Yeah. And the night before, this is something that you can choose to do or not. I have one of those charging cables that's a splitter. So it has all the different types of cable on it.
Yeah.
And I put my pack, the one that I take as my personal item on the plane, I put it by the door. I plug everything in inside the bag so I don't forget anything. And then when I leave that morning, I unplug everything like it's the fucking Matrix, like plink, 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 and then, stuff everything in the bag and then leave. So everything should be, charged. Um, so, getting things done that, especially if there's things you don't want to do, when you're at the airport, you can either sit there and be bored or try and watch something on TV. I mean, I don't really get a whole lot out of watching shows and stuff on my phone. I know some people really like that. I can't. I can't really
Yeah.
do it. Also, sometimes being able to post on my social media or scheduling it, I use a scheduler called Buffer. I think Heather uses Hootsuite. Um, and then Meta, right? You use Meta
I've
as
used
well.
them all. I've used them
Yeah.
all at one point. I'm not using any right now, but
But setting those up or even figuring out like what kind of future planning you want to do, um, checking links. So for some of the events that I do, they will have a hotel link attached to their website, but sometimes the hotel link isn't ready. So just checking on those things, just little monotonous bullshit things that you got to get done.
yeah.
That's a great time to do that. Once I've gotten those things done, I don't have anything else to do. I actually either journal or I write or I read. And when people ask me like, "Oh, how do you know this? How do you know this?" It's because I read all the time. I take these little tiny, I don't think I even have, they're called business card books. But they're little itty bitty books. A lot of business professionals will have them and they'll talk about something in particular. And I've yet to read a book where I didn't get anything out of it. So when
Yeah.
I was applying for my patent, I had patent law books in my bag that I was just reading at the airport or reading on the tarmac when you're not supposed to have your phone on and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I was just constantly reading. And the way that my brain retains stuff, it worked out that way. And people were like, well, what if you don't want to travel with a book? Like when I'm done with the book, I just leave it at the airport
Yeah.
and or give it to somebody and somebody else will pick it up and read it. It could be a
Yeah.
staff member, it could be another business owner, it could be whatever, but people need things to read.
Yeah.
Um keeping my sanity there. And I almost always have music on. When I'm traveling and I don't feel safe, I'll still keep the earbuds in, but I turn off my music so
Yeah.
I can hear what's going on still. But people tend to not talk to you if you have them in. And this is going to sound like a total dick move, but I don't want to talk to anybody at airports. I want to be
No.
kind of left alone.
Yeah.
So when you have that kind of stuff in, and especially if you don't take it out and you can just be like, what? Like, and or like, oh, I'll talk to you later or whatever, or ignore
Like
people. Yeah, you just point
pointing
at
to your
it.
headphones, be like, no, I'm sorry.
Yeah. But if I actually am giving, okay, so this is something that a flight attendant told me that is her number one pet peeve and a pet peeve for most flight attendants is that people don't take their earbuds out when they talk to them. They either speak too softly because they can't hear themselves or they shout. So if you're talking to a flight attendant, this comes from a
Just
flight attendant.
just take one out.
Take one out, communicate, put it back in when you're done talking.
Yep.
Evidently, that's the worst thing. It's not like crying babies. It's not taking off your shoes. It's not being in the aisle. Those aren't the things that bother them. She's like, I would rather deal with somebody having a heart attack than somebody having earbuds in. I was like, damn. I'm like, okay.
That's a
So,
big pet peeve. Everybody pay attention.
big pet peeve.
I mean,
Yeah.
be nice to your flight attendants. Like, they're
Yeah.
going through a lot.
And also to know that the flight attendants don't get paid until the flight
Yeah.
takes off.
I could
So,
not believe that when you told me that. That's
yeah.
freaking bonkers.
And I mean, if they help you with your bag and they get hurt, that's on their time. It's not on the flight. So
Yeah.
technically they're on their own, injury on that point. So if they don't
Right.
help you, there's a reason.
Right. But when you're in that airport, like find a place to plug things in because like you're gonna be in, on an airplane soon. I haven't been in a whole lot of airplanes that actually have places for you to charge because I am not rich enough to be in first class. And so
Yeah, we're
like
not.
we're
We're never first
definitely not.
class.
But find somewhere to charge everything. Sometimes they have it like on the seat just below you. Sometimes they have an actual charging station. You can sit near it, stuff like that. Something else I recommend is I have a rolly bag for my carry-on. And Jade usually does too. I'll set that up just like right in front of my knees. So either I can like put my feet up on it because it's a solid what do you call that? Hard shell? Yeah, it's a hard shell. So I can put my feet up on it. It's kind of nice. Because I don't like sitting with my feet on the ground. I don't know why. I have an issue. But like I always put my feet up. Whenever I sit down in a chair, I like fold my feet under me. I don't know why. Like I just can't have my feet on the ground for too long. But so I like to do that. Or if you're doing stuff like she has her keyboard out, you can use it as a tiny little table. Like it,
Yeah.
it's just like it's nice to have that little thing right in front of you.
The tiny little table. And, depending on how much injury I have with my knee as well, it's a great way to elevate. It's a nice
Yeah.
thing to have available. And most people don't walk, into it and whatever. So that's pretty helpful. Um, and then once I'm on the plane, like if I'm sitting next to somebody and I'm still working, I actually was working on, this is so stupid. I was working on a coloring book, not because I needed to color. I actually don't like coloring. But I was trying to show that our stencils could be made out of coloring book paper. So I'm coloring on my flight and I'm like, "Ah, this sucks. This is so boring." And I'm watching Beavis and Butthead because I have it downloaded. And I'm just trying to get through this coloring. And I didn't want it to look bad, because if it's a terrible job coloring, it's not going to help me. But I just don't like it. And I'm just not good at it. So I'm coloring and I'm coloring. And somebody's just like, "So is that therapeutic?" I'm like, "No." Like, don't ask me questions.
It's actually the opposite
Like
for me.
the worst death stare. And I just couldn't get through it fast enough. But that was something that I didn't want to spend time, when I was at my house with my husband and playing video games, doing the stuff that we like to do. I didn't want to take an hour to color, so I just did it on the plane, and I was just like, "Oh, I hate this crap so much." But it was the best time to do it because I had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So if I'm on the plane, if I can sleep, great. I don't tend to sleep in the terminals unless there's a really long layover because I'm afraid I'll forget and I won't wake up for my flight.
Yeah.
I'm actually very concerned about that, and I don't want to get ditched because if they cancel your flight, that's on them. If you miss your flight, you are just out that money. You are fucked, and then you have to go
Yep.
and try and rebook and everything. So
Yeah.
that's not
That's
ideal.
a bad place to be in. So like she she always gets there in plenty of time. We
I do.
talked about this in a previous episode where we talk about like airplane travel and everything and how to do TSA pre-check and everything. But we always get there in plenty of time to make sure that you have like you want to go get food, you need to use the bathroom because my gosh, airport bathrooms are so freaking tiny. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can't.
And sometimes
I'm
there's a
just
line. Like if a flight gets off,
right.
there's a line of like 80 people.
Yeah.
And
So yeah.
one thing that's worked out really well for me, especially getting to the airport, is having the Starbucks app because you can order ahead. And I've done that a lot
Then you can just pick
recently.
up.
Yeah.
That's a
So
great
instead of
idea.
waiting in the line, I'll order ahead and I'll just stand to the side. Or if it's an airport I'm familiar with, I can be like, yeah, and it'll find it. You can just add, either your favorite airport, put a little star on it or heart or whatever it is. Or you can search various airports. But I've done that when places were closed. There was nowhere to eat. And I think I talked about this in another episode about food, or I will
Hmm.
be.
We'll
Where
always
there
talk
was
about food, guys.
We'll always talk about food, but there was nowhere to eat anywhere near the convention center. So I ate Starbucks foods and snacks for
Yeah.
3 days in a row because that's
Yeah.
what I could get. And I mean, when you're thinking about these conventions, there's hundreds and thousands of people that'll be getting Starbucks before they go line up. And you're trying to get there early. So if you can
Yeah.
order ahead, I absolutely recommend it. I've had my coffee taken once and they just remake it for you.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's
Well,
not really a big deal.
I feel like a lot of places in airports, especially because there's so much of like a time crunch and they want to make sure that you're getting to where you're going. Like it's a hassle
Mhm.
for them too if you miss your flight. Like they don't like that
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of those restaurants will have order ahead options. And so I would recommend
Mhm.
doing that. Or they have like really quick grab and go options. So there's
Yeah.
all kinds of things that you can do to help make being at the airport a little bit better.
There
I
was one of my
Go ahead.
favorite things though that they have now at the airports. I'm so excited about it. Is that they have self-checkout where you walk in, you grab the item and you scan it. You don't have to
Yeah.
talk to anybody. And it's not, again, I don't hate people, just FYI. I don't like to
A
wait
little
in
bit.
lines where maybe a little bit. And some people like are just being stupid in line. I'm like, why is this a thing? Why is this happening?
Why is this taking so
Um,
long?
and it's because they're asking for something stupid. I don't tolerate stupidity very well. But you can just go up to these things and they look like little vending machines that are opened. That's
Yeah.
what they look like. And there's nobody there. There's just
Yeah.
cameras. And so
Yeah.
you walk in and you scan and you pay and you walk out and it's super, super fucking convenient. And you get the opportunity just to like pick up things. So sometimes I want to read the dates on things because I have mental problems when it comes to food safety. And so I really want to see like what does the date look like, but they literally have grab and go options where if you are
Yeah.
completely late, you have to eat something. And by the way, the food on the airplane, the little like boxes that they sell you are like $27.
Yeah.
And they're like some crackers, cheese, and chips. Like
Right.
they're awful.
Well, it's
So,
just because it's the only option that you have. And so it's super expensive. And so get something at the
mhm,
airport because, well, especially, I mean, we fly out of DIA, and DIA is actually a really great airport. Like,
it's a
there's
nice
so many
airport.
options for food. It's
Mhm.
always super clean. The
Yeah.
people working there are really nice. Like, it's a really great airport, so we're pretty lucky with that because I've been to plenty of airports that I'm like, oh my
Mhm.
gosh, like, what? How do
Yeah.
you? Oof.
Yeah. How do you? Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
How do you?
But I
Ugh.
will say, like, I was starving on a flight and they had those little Pop-Tart bites and they're
Oh,
the strawberry ones and they're frosted and they're like my favorite. They were $10 for a tiny little bag. And
oh
I
my
was like,
gosh,
I
like those
can't.
like fun size kind of like snack size
Yeah, it was the
bags.
itty bitty ones. Yeah. And it was
Dear Lord.
$10. And if you, they don't accept cash or cards anymore, so you actually your credit card is tied to your seats. So the only way you
Yeah.
can pay is with touchless, I think is what
Yep.
they call it, or non-contact.
Yeah.
And otherwise, you can't buy anything if it's not set up already in the app.
Yep.
So,
So things to think about.
mhm, things just
And
to
to
keep in
just
mind.
plan ahead. Yeah.
Mhm.
Making your airport stay a little bit easier. But yeah, just keeping all those things in mind of what you need. Um, like and it will, as we've talked about, this will be something personal for you. Like what works best for you. Like Jade loves to get those drinks. Um, I got a like Qdoba salad and it was just so freaking good and I was so hungry. Um, I'm sorry. Oh my gosh. I'm hungry now. Can you guys hear my stomach? It's so loud. Oh
Oh
my
my
gosh,
God.
it's like when I would go to church as a kid and I'd be hungry and it like everybody's praying and it's silent and you just hear like
So, what I've learned is that we don't prep really well for the podcast, but we prep really well for travel. That's what I'm gathering from this
Yep.
episode.
Yeah, well, that's keeping it real, folks.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and a special thank you to Nerdy Girl Podcast for sponsoring this episode. We'll see you next time.